Samadhi, it's the part of the mind and heart training, uh, which includes in the Eightfold Path, which we're working with now. It's really the three, which are right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. The three training pieces, and we'll spend time on each of those over the next weeks. And today is just an overview. This week is really an overview of Samadhi, of that whole territory that we'll be covering over these next weeks. Yeah. Mm. Samadhi has there's so many associations to Samadhi because it's a word that's used in Hinduism, Buddhism, Sufism. Uh, they all have slightly different associations, you know. But generally speaking, the meaning of Samadhi, which is the most relevant meaning of Samadhi, is it's about collecting or bringing together, gathering, uh, placing together, putting together. Uh, but it's gathering together all the energies of the mind and heart into one place, into one into one area. You know, it's bringing the attention together, all together in one place, and which is so much easier. It's so easier said than done, right? Yeah, I mean, it becomes the great, uh, really the greatest challenge in the practice in our time and in our culture is gathering the distracted energies of mind, body, and heart together. Yeah, that we're so distracted, that we're so restless, and so pulled away by the ongoing stimuli in our world, in our life, and in our world. Um, and some of them good, you know. I mean, some of them good things, but but the distraction is the greatest. And when you ask people who've meditated for a long time, even what is the weakest link in their meditation practice, they'll tell you Samadhi, almost across the board. And say, well, yeah, it's good, but yeah, but what's the weakest part? It's the ability to stay really fully, continuously present. Not just to drop into present for a moment, into presence for a moment, or for a couple of seconds, a few seconds, a half a breath sometimes, those are good. Yeah. But to really stay, to really stay. So that you've heard us use this metaphor before. The whole point of the staying is so that is so that we can see more clearly what's going on in the mind. It's like a camera that's still, that has a tripod. You know, we're building a kind of a tripod with, you could say, with right effort, with right concentration, with right mindfulness, so that there's a steadiness. There's the two main qualities are steadiness and calmness, and calm, and interest. You know, and there are a number of qualities that are in there. You know, we'll talk about those. But really, it's about the gathering. It's about the gathering and the staying, you know, the staying, so that we can look clearly and steadily at what's going on in the mind. The and it's something that has been, as these practices have come over to our culture, not emphasized as much. We're finding that this samadhi needs to be emphasized more in the same way that compassion practices were not emphasized a lot in the first 20 or 30 years either. They weren't. They weren't. Not much at all, actually. Metta and compassion were not emphasized much. Why are they emphasized so much now? Because we need them so much now in our culture, you know, in these times. We need that more. We need more heart, you know, in the heart mind practices. It's come over mostly as a mind practice. It's a cognitive mind training, you know. Um, and even then, samadhi has been not so important. The most important thing is mindfulness. The most important thing is insight. And the quickest way to insight is just start paying attention from one thing after another really, really quickly, one thing after another. And more these days, you'll see more now retreats even, where the jhanas or the concentration retreats or jhana retreats um, are emphasized more now by more teachers. Similarly, because that's the weakest link for us now, the real steadiness, the real calm and the real steadiness, you know, the real gathering of the energies. And so often in our practice, isn't it so? There's some collection of energy, but it's like a crystalline structure that's subject to fragmentation. And it fragments a lot. It fragments a lot. And then we come back, right? We come back. Our collection place, you've heard us talk about it, is the holding environment, the inner holding environment. That sense of gathering the energies in one place where there's also some heart involved, there's some attention, and learning to be able to cultivate that, to bring that forward, and to keep it around, And eventually, as Susan will often remind us, is at a certain point, so that we have a portable holding environment, so that to some extent our samadhi can stay with us as we're doing various activities of daily living, that we're doing them and not getting completely spaced out and multitasking so much while we're doing them, but we can actually stay present as we're doing more activities of our lives. But that's a challenging practice too, isn't it? Isn't it? Yeah. And so this is pivotal practice because the insights that we have will only be as deep as the samadhi that we have. These two are very highly correlated, extremely highly correlated, actually. Yeah, yeah, very much go hand in hand. Yeah, and you hear Ajahn Chah say, if you practice a little, you'll have a little peace. If you have to practice more, you'll have more peace. If you practice a lot, you'll have a lot of peace. Well, it's like that. If you have a little samadhi, you'll have a little insight, which is good. If you have a little samadhi, you'll have a little insight. Mostly it'll be psychological insight. Oh, you'll figure things out. Have you had that in meditation? Insights come. Insights come. Mostly they're psychological insights. We put pieces together of some of the little puzzles, in our life. That happens in meditation. Yeah, that's a little insight. Yeah. If you practice more, you have more insight about the way the mind creates its experience, co-creates its experience, and co-creates its difficulty. We really start to see how the mind creates trouble for itself with slightly deeper insight, you know? And we start to have deeper insight into some of these concepts that are talked about in Buddhism that are so important, so central: impermanence, and the sense of self that is not so solid as we thought, but in dukkha, how we create a suffering for ourselves. And we see how to begin to release some of all of that. We don't see that until we get a little bit more samadhi, a little bit more samadhi. Steadiness, what is going on here? What's going on here? So quickly, before insight can really arise, we're distracted. We see something quickly and go. We come in for a landing for 2 or 3 seconds and we fly away. We fly away. And so it's much more like a handheld camera. Have you ever seen those videos? The things are moving about. And so it takes so much patience, and so much nurturing and cultivating to really create enough samadhi, and trust that samadhi will lead to insight, also. It also tends to lead toward a little bit more ease and calm and settle the nervous system a bit more. So all of these qualities we'll be speaking about individually and together in this whole area of samadhi. Uh, what are they? What is the difference between right effort and right concentration and right mindfulness? We'll go into all those. How did the three of them come together to support and to deepen our practice? Yeah. Yeah. So we will not underrate samadhi with you, because we also find that it is just such an important part of the practice. Yeah, really, really deserves our wholehearted attention. Yeah, not just our effortful attention, but our wholehearted attention. You know? And from there, it's where our insight can deepen, can deepen.